Hey everyone, in today's episode of Careers Out There, we're going to hear from a really inspirational person. Our guest is Jenny Blake. She runs a popular personal development blog called Life After College, and she recently came out with a popular book of the same name. You could find the book on Amazon.com, where I posted a very positive video review, and you could find her site at lifeaftercollege.org. Jenny just took a great leap of her own to follow the same kind of advice she gives to her audience. She left her career at Google to pursue her passions of public speaking, life coaching, and yoga. I love her perspective on careers, so I'm really psyched to have her here today on the show to share it with you guys. It's going to be a great show, so stick around. Okay, we're back. Jenny, welcome to Careers Out There.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. I was saying in the intro that I'm really excited to have you here so you could share your perspective with everybody. And, I love your perspective. So I'm happy to have you here. You just completed a nationwide book tour in support of Life After College. And tell us how that went. What was it like? And was it fun to go out and see all the people in real life?
It was so much fun. I had an absolute blast. A lot of people asked me, oh, is your publisher sending you on a book tour? No, quite the contrary. They told me it's not really worth it. No one's doing book tours these days. But to me, it felt like why you have a wedding for a marriage. It was like the ceremony of it and getting out and traveling. Speaking of career, I had been at Google for 5.5 years, working really intensely. For the last 3 years, I was doing Google, the blog, and my book. And I felt like, okay, I knew I wanted to take a sabbatical when the book came out, that it wouldn't be fair to Google or my book to try and do both at the same time. So I decided to organize it started out 14 city, ended up about 10 cities, self-funded book tour, where people asked, how did I decide where to go? I just picked wherever I had pockets of friends and readers, and it was the city I wanted to visit, or I had an existing conference, that's where I went. So it was tons of fun. I went to Austin, Texas, San Diego, Bay Area, New York a few times, Seattle, Portland, Oregon, Vegas twice, LA, where I met you for the first time in person, and just had a blast.
It's great. Well, your presentation was excellent. So if anyone out there ever gets a chance to see you, they should definitely run to do it because it's very, very good, very inspirational. So you did a great job, seriously.
Thank you.
And I want to get to what you're going to be doing next, but we'll get to that at the end because I want everyone to know what's going on with Jenny Blake next. But there's so much in your book and on your site that I think is really useful to people of all ages who are trying to find their way, and especially people who are in college and in their 20s. And what I want to do today, I want to focus on the career piece of what you talk about and what you coach about. One of the first brilliant things I think you do in the book is that you say people should spend some time reflecting on life's big questions, really just reflecting so that they could get to the heart of what they're all about and be more likely to find a career that fits them and manage their careers through that. So let's use that as a launching pad for our discussion. I'd love to hear, what do you say to people about this topic?
Sure. One of the biggest questions you can ask, and this is where I got the subtitle for the book, what do I really want? I've had coaches where it stopped me in my tracks. I would be blabbering about a decision, and all of a sudden they would stop and say, what do you really want? And the minute that they would get really serious and ask me that, I thought, oh, well, what I really want is, boom, X, and I would say it. So I find that deep down in our gut, we often know what we want and what's important to us, but for a lot of people, they haven't taken the time to unpack it and articulate it. So one of the first big questions, one easy way to start is to it's a coaching exercise called the Wheel of Life. And you rate every area of your life on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being totally dissatisfied and 10 being I'm thrilled with this area. So when it comes to career, if someone's in a job and they don't really love it, and you ask them what's on a scale of 1 to 10, and they say it's currently a 5. One of the most effective big questions then is, what does a 10 look like? So an individual can go through and for every area of their life say what a 10 looks like. And you can vision one of my favorite books that I read in high school and arguably got me started on this whole personal development kick is How to Be, Do, or Have Anything by Lawrence Boltz. That book was all about visioning, writing in the present tense as though you've already achieved what you want in every area. And I just found it so incredibly helpful.
Wow. I'll have to post a link to that book.
Yeah. It's like one of my favorites. And I think because it's older, it's not that well known, but it is probably hands down my favorite book. So, and inspired my own.
Wow. Okay. Very good.
Another big question that a lot of people have a hard time answering is, what is my life purpose? What's my mission? That's a tough one. I mean, it is really hard to just say to someone, what's your life purpose? And then they're like stuttering, I don't know. A coach asked me that once and I had no clue. And if you think of it like you're feeling your way through the dark, start somewhere. Go for the big shapes. I know I want to help people. Okay, great. What kind of people? Young professionals. Okay. From there, how do you want to help them? What do you feel like you can really bring to the world or that you want to share with the world? The last big question that I like to ask people are about core values. And for me, the easiest way to do this is you can either buy my book or go online, get a list of values, and narrow it down to 20 values that are important to you. And then from there, pick 10, and from there, pick 5. The goal being, what is your framework? When you have to make a decision, what are your main considerations? For some person, it might be stability, security, and routine. Another person's values might be spontaneity, adventure, and travel. Those two people are going to have really different careers. So once you understand your values, you can kind of use them as a compass. And I just did this with a coaching client today. She's got a fork in the road with her career. And she could either move to a new city and get a job there, or go travel and live in a country where she's going to learn a foreign language. So we went through those decisions according to her values, and it became clear to her what to do. So it could be a really helpful framework for moving forward, making plans, and making decisions.
I think it sounds great. Now, do you think, is there a big difference between someone who's, let's say, in college and they're thinking, well, I haven't been out, that real world thing out there seems so big and scary, I haven't been out there yet. Is there a big difference for someone in those shoes versus the person who's out there, been working 3 years and thinking, this kind of sucks, something's not right, I got to shake it up? How do you speak differently to those people?
It really depends on everyone's situation. So different people have different thresholds. One of my friends, she graduated college, she worked for 2 weeks, and she quit her job. She couldn't stand it. And she wrote this guest post on Penelope Trunk's blog, which, as you might know, gets a lot of traffic. And people ripped her to shreds. They were like, you are just an entitled Gen Y brat. How can you quit after 2 weeks? You've got to pay your dues and put in 6 months, put in a year before you quit. She ended up starting her own web design business, moving to Italy, moving to Paris. It's now thriving. She's met a great guy that she's fallen in love with. And that all came because she had the guts to say, this isn't working for me, even though she was only 2 weeks into her first job after college. And then there are other people who want the stability. They want to get a job. Maybe they know they're not going to love it, but there's a certain set of skills that they're learning, like sales skills or customer service or just how to exist in the corporate world. And for those people, it might not be right to just do something kind of crazy and off the wall. So that's, again, where values come into play. And I think it's for each individual to look at their circumstances as well. Can I move back in with my parents while I figure this out? Or do I need to be paying the bills from the get-go?
Exactly. Okay, so everyone needs to look in the mirror, assess themselves, and do these exercises that you're talking about. And many of them are included in the book. I'll hold it up again. There's so many exercises in this book that are really, really helpful. And if people actually do them, rather than just look at them and say, oh, there's exercises, it'll really help them to think through these issues, right?
Yes, absolutely.
It's really important. I just met with someone the other day who was not happy with their job, and they were telling me how they're going to go interview for pretty much the same job somewhere else. And I said, but what's the number one thing that's dragging you down where you are now? And is that going to be any different where you go over there? And it was the exact same job. It was going to be the exact same thing. I said, so why are you doing that? Why don't you figure out what doesn't have that? And just like you said, what has the things that you actually want? So you're not jumping into another situation where you're going to say, get me out of here.
Right.
People have to think through this stuff.
Yeah, we're creatures of habit. It can be scary to make a big shift. And part of it, I'm writing a newsletter today to my one of my lists, and the message is sometimes you have to let yourself suck. So like for that person who's entertaining the thought of switching jobs or switching career, going to the same old thing is comfortable. She knows she can do it, or she or he, that they'll be good at it. But switching directions means you have to let yourself suck a little bit. You're going to be a beginner, and that comes with the territory, but ultimately will be worth it.
Yep. It's all about finding a way to enjoy that learning process when you are a beginner.
Yes.
Right?
Totally. Totally.
So did you know when you were coming right out of school, did you know what you wanted your life to be?
I thought originally that I wanted to work on a presidential campaign, and I was still in school. So I have a kind of unique story in that I was doing research for a college professor, and she was going to be starting a company back in my hometown of Palo Alto. So I left school. I took a leave of absence at the start of my junior year to work with her and be the first employee with her and this other college professor. So my career, it kind of fell into my lap. And someone asked me, they're like, do you feel lucky was it luck that you got that job at the startup? And I kind of said yes and no. Yes, it was luck. And I had asked that professor to be her research assistant. And I was her research assistant for a year and a half. So when that opportunity came up, there I was. So in that sense, that's when I really started shifting away from politics. I was doing marketing, websites, and office management, and I enjoyed it a lot. And then when I shifted to Google, it became clear that I loved training and teaching and working with people, and that's when I did coach training. So it really has unfolded naturally. I don't think I could have ever planned the specifics. But I will say that I've always, my whole life, had this secret ambition of being an author, speaker, coach. I don't think I knew what coaching was at the time, but that was always present. And so even when I moved to Google, when I took the job on the training team, it was because I knew I would get practice being in front of a room every day.
That's great. And so one thing just kind of led to the other. It's not like you mapped it out and said, this has to happen this way, but you just kind of followed your instincts of what you knew about yourself.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I liken this to cleaning out your closet. Like at any given time, if you're revamping your wardrobe, you want to look at what you have and what you're doing at your job, what skills you're using, and say, what do I want to get rid of? You might not be able to get rid of it right away, but know what you dislike. And you've got to clear some of that old stuff out so you can make room for the skills doing more of what you do enjoy. So even when I came to Google, I was training, but I was doing AdWords. I was teaching people about the AdWords product. And I loved being in front of the room, but I was not passionate about AdWords. I mean, like how to set a daily budget. It had no meaning for me.
Right.
So that's when I said, okay, I'm going to keep the training and I'm going to try and get rid of the AdWords. And that's when I joined the career development team.
And it all just came together and just you felt like this fits, this makes sense.
Yeah, and kind of one piece at a time. And I did coach training on my own time, nights and weekends. So I think part of the message too is not waiting for those opportunities to be handed to you or for all the conditions to be right. Sometimes you do have to go after it simultaneously to doing something else.
Right. Now, what about this? You've put out the book, you've done the book tour, everything's gone great, you left Google. What's next for Jenny Blake? Tell us what's going to happen next.
Well, I refer to my company as Jenny Blake Enterprises. So next for me is moving to New York from the Bay Area. That'll be really exciting. And then my biggest project that I'm most excited about is my 8-week course called Make Shit Happen. And the goal there is to help people take an improbable idea, something they're tiptoeing around, a big giant goal, and take it from that to inevitable success. Doing a lot of the things that we're talking about, learning how to figure out what they're passionate about, come up with a life purpose statement, vision and values. So the course, I'm excited. I love coaching and speaking, but the opportunity to be able to help people with their biggest, scariest goals is just really fun for me. So I hope, fingers crossed, that goes well and it helps people and that they enjoy it.
Yeah, that's great. And is Make Us Happen, is it a video series? Is it a post that you're writing? How is that going to play out for people?
It's going to be 8 weeks of material. It'll be video, audio. There's a 100-page book that I've written that goes with it. Coaching exercises, a community forum, Q&A calls, weekly accountability emails, and interviews with experts.
That's really great.
Yeah, to help people take a big goal from improbable to inevitable.
And hold them accountable.
Yes,
Yep,
definitely.
that's key. That's excellent. Excellent. Very exciting. And I wish you the best with this. Anne in New York. You guys who are watching in New York, be good to her when you find her out there in New York City. This is great, Jenny. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, definitely. You guys, you can connect with Jenny at lifeaftercollege.org and also on Twitter at Jenny_Blake, right?
Awesome. You got it. And there's a ton of free templates on my website too for anyone who wants help with budgeting or job interviewing. There's a ton of stuff. Just look for templates.
Excellent. You guys check that out. And make sure, if you haven't already done so, to buy Life After College. This is an excellent book. It's seriously helpful, and the kind of exercises that you could do in here are going to really move you forward without a doubt. They will definitely help you guys. So definitely check that out. You guys, thanks again for watching. You can find episodes of Careers Out There on YouTube, iTunes, Blip TV, and of course at careersoutthere.com. Thanks again for watching, everybody. I'm Mark Luber, and look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.